Well, hello there. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Do or do not. There is no try.
So I was putting off watching this show all day for fear of what it might be. Listen, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be the first person in line to watch a Obi-Wan series. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, and a big reason for that is Ewan McGregor's portrayal in the prequel trilogy. He's essentially the hero of the prequels, so I always kind of looked up to him. I will say this, Ewan McGregor hasn't aged a day. He still looks great, other than the Jedi capris that they have him wearing in the first 2 episodes.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
The biggest problem that I foresee this show having is something that a lot of people probably aren't even really talking about right now. More than anything else, these 2 episodes just felt lifeless and dull to me. Think about this for a second. This is the first time we're seeing Ewan McGregor since 2005 in the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And when we first see him, somehow, that doesn't feel special.
I'm having trouble.
That's a real problem for me, and the blame for that should fall squarely on the people creating Star Wars right now. Of course, it didn't help that when we first see him, he's working in a meatpacking plant. Riveting stuff. That's how they decided to reintroduce us to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just watched Top Gun Maverick, and you know what the first thing they had Maverick do in the new movie? Fly a fucking plane. Because that's what he's good at.
That makes sense.
The show opens with a recap of the prequels, which didn't really get me excited for anything that's to come. It just made me want to watch the prequels again. Because they are still better than anything Disney has put out, and I stand by that.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
We also get a flashback of some younglings escaping the Jedi Temple during Order 66. I assume that this will have a greater purpose later on down the line as this show progresses. So it's been 10 years since Order 66 and Obi-Wan is still looking over Luke as requested. What doesn't make 100% sense to me is Obi-Wan's current demeanor. Now I understand he's been through a lot. Qui-Gon Jinn was killed. He had a falling out with Anakin, and all of that comes with a little bit of guilt inside of Obi-Wan, which I can understand and I could be okay with.
Why do you cry?
But as with anything else, they do push that concept a bit too far, and they make him sound a bit too much like Jake Skywalker from The Last Jedi for my liking. Obi-Wan even says that the time of the Jedi is over, and I instantly got PTSD flashbacks. So basically, like Luke, Obi-Wan has lost all hope and given up. It's so bad that even a random Jedi that he encounters on Tatooine asks him, "What happened to you? You used to be a great Jedi." This is a common theme in Disney Star Wars. They love deconstructing established characters, and not very well on top of it. Obi-Wan even contradicts himself when he tells Owen that Luke should be trained when he is old enough. What's the point in training him if you just said the time of the Jedi is over? Were you just trying to convince that one Jedi that he shouldn't be fighting anymore? If so, what was the purpose of that?
That's right, it stinks!
And then we come to Reva, the character that is sure to be the topic of conversation for the next few weeks. Listen, people are going to try to spin her inclusion into this story in any way that they want to. But for me, based on what we see in these 2 episodes, she feels very out of place to me. I don't know if it's the writing or the actress, because I've honestly never seen her in anything else to compare it, but absolutely nothing about her is believable. She's not intimidating. Her dialogue feels very forced. For most of the 2 episodes, she basically just sits there with resting bitch face for reasons that we don't yet know.
But you one crazy ass bitch!
She is an Inquisitor tasked with hunting down Jedi, but she has an unhealthy obsession with hunting down Obi-Wan specifically. Pretty convenient that she ended up on the planet that he was on, even though they don't actually meet during that time. This obsession is an unhealthy one for a reason that is still a mystery to us. And I honestly can't say that I care enough about her character after 2 episodes to actually find out what that reason is.
I don't care!
As for the conversation of the bait and switch, I will say this, they do spend a lot of time pushing her character, which seems odd considering she is very uninteresting. Reva is so obsessed with finding Obi-Wan that she comes up with a plot to kidnap Leia in hopes that it would bring Obi-Wan out of hiding, which it eventually does. It does take a lot of convincing from the Organa family, but Obi-Wan eventually does reluctantly agree to go find Leia and abandon his mission to watch over Luke.
Fuck me, right?
Because, quote, she's just as important as Luke is. Well, here's a question. If they're both important, then maybe it isn't a good idea to leave Luke unattended. The fact that you're saying Leia is just as important and he should go take care of that, your argument kind of collapses on itself. But anyway, Obi-Wan goes after Leia. At least we're off of Tatooine now. Finally, right?
Jesus fucking Christ, it's about time!
Obi-Wan eventually encounters a fake Jedi played by the annoying guy from Eternals with a lisp. You know, the one who only exists in movies to be horrible comic relief? Obi-Wan eventually rescues Leia from Flea of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it is kind of weird that this interaction between him and Leia is never spoken of again. We never hear Leia talk about that one time that Obi-Wan saved her from a group of guys who kidnapped her. During their escape, Reva eventually catches up to them, and after she murders the Grand Inquisitor because he doesn't like how she does things, she then proceeds to taunt Obi-Wan about how Vader is still alive, how Anakin Skywalker is still alive.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
This is surprising news to Obi-Wan, which I do feel like creates some more inconsistencies. I feel like when she said Vader was alive, Obi-Wan recognized who that was, even before she mentioned Anakin's name. When she says Anakin, it just felt like clunky exposition just for the audience. So I find it hard to believe that Obi-Wan wasn't aware of Vader's existence. I mean, people must talk about him, right? He's second in command only to the Emperor.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Was Obi-Wan that disconnected from what was going on around him? In 10 years, he never heard once about the Emperor's apprentice? People do talk on Tatooine, right? And this is going to be the second biggest problem with this show moving forward. It already feels like you're starting to contradict what is already known in the lore, which is common when you have people creating a show and they have no attention to detail.
Get what you fucking deserve!
I strongly believe that a show that will inevitably have a confrontation between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader contradicts what we know about those characters based on their interaction in A New Hope. Some may see this as inconsequential, and they may just be happy to see these characters on screen again. For me, as a longtime fan, this is the type of disregard and carelessness that made me disconnected with Star Wars in the first place. On top of all that, these episodes felt dull, uneventful, and pretty uninspiring.
We ain't found shit!
And I'd be lying to you if I said it built up any intrigue in me to see what comes next. It's only 2 episodes, but let's be honest with ourselves. We've seen this song and dance before, and usually it doesn't end well.
Y'all be cool. Nah.